Thank you, Dean Spieler. To begin, I just want to echo Scott and Dean Spieler's thanks for all of you being here today. I know that I speak for all of my classmates when I express my heartfelt gratitude for you being here to share this special day with us. You know, I came here today to say, the first thing I was going to say was, this is the hardest thing I've ever had to do, to write this speech, not just in law school, but in my life. Unfortunately, I have to change that now, because the hardest thing I've ever had to do is follow Scott at giving the speech. It's another round of applause for the unparalleled Scott Stillman. But make no mistake, writing this speech was extremely hard. And as I sat down to write it, I really drew on and focused on a lot of different things in my life to help me craft what I was going to say to you here today. One of the things I lingered on was a similar speech that I delivered to my high school class, frighteningly nearly a decade ago now. My first thought was, boom, I already have a speech. I don't have to do anything. Good to go. But that genius idea was quickly out the window when I remembered that my good friend and classmate Sam Jennings was also my high school classmate. Surely if I tried to use that speech again, Sam and his family would declare shenanigans, the cat would be out of the bag, and that's just not good business for anybody. So you're all stuck with this new speech that I wrote between studying the Administrative Procedures Act from Professor Wu's administrative law class, as well as the Securities Exchange Act of 1934 for Professor Auerhand's securities regulation class. Woo. No, but all joking aside, I did think a lot about that speech 10 years ago, about where I was, who I was, a 17-year-old awkward kid leaving home for the first time. And I realized that there was much about that speech that I want to convey to you here today. In that speech, I spoke of the great accomplishments that had been and those that were sure to come. I spoke of the opportunities that would come before us, as well as the obstacles and the challenges we would have to overcome. And I echo all those sentiments here today. But that speech is incomplete now. It lacks something that I want to focus on for the rest of the speech. What it lacks is a sense of determination and a sense of resolve. The world has changed dramatically in the last 10 years, and it is ever changing now. And Northeastern has given us the tools to be part of that change, and to direct that change in a way we see best for the betterment of all. But it is on us to have the determination, to have the resolve to make it so. I do not doubt the ability, nor the passion, nor the desire that is embodied in each of you. I've heard it in the classroom. I've heard it with several of you on co-op. I've heard it in what you have done in a mind-boggling array of extracurricular activities while here at Northeastern. I've even heard it over several beers at Punters and Connors. I have heard your desire to make change, to give a voice to the voiceless, to use your legal education to benefit others in a positive way. I have heard all this, and it gives me a great, tremendous amount of faith in this next generation of legal minds, and a great deal of pride that I can call you all my colleagues. And yet, as I hear these amazing ideas and words, as I hear these sentiments, my response is this, and those of you who know me well can probably finish the sentence for me. My response is this: prove it. Prove it by putting your words into action. As Oliver Wendell Holmes said, you commit a sin of omission if you do not utilize all the power that is within you. It is required that a person take part in the actions and clashes of their time, at the peril of being judged not to have lived at all. We have the passion. You heard Scott talk about it. I have heard it. I have seen it. Northeastern has given us the tools. Now it's up to us. Let's do this. Let's resolve not to leave these sentiments that I've heard these last 3 years in the theoretical. Let's resolve to use the skills we have developed at Northeastern. It is on us to take an active part in the actions and the clashes of an ever-changing and exceedingly complex world. Resolve not to sit by passively, but to take the rhetoric, to take the passion, and put it into action. There's something else that we should all resolve to change as we embark on our legal careers, and that is the perception of the legal profession. I'm extremely pleased that Professor David Hall will be addressing you all later for several reasons, but in particular, because it was in Professor Hall's professional responsibility class that I first discussed and really thought about how the public views lawyers in the legal profession. Not to hold you in suspense, but it's not always great. And I say enough. Too long have lawyers been the butt of jokes. Too long have the negative actions of a few soiled what is a noble profession. But again, it is on us, the next generation of legal minds, to resolve to emulate the lawyers that we have seen here at Northeastern, to emulate the lawyers we have worked with on co-op. It is on us to resolve to prove that the bad acts of a few are not indicative of lawyers in general, that those bad acts that seem to monopolize the headlines and on all the front pages are not what all lawyers are like. Ours is a noble profession, a profession that affects people's lives in profound ways, a profession that can make the hope of change very much a reality. Resolve to be the best lawyer that you can be, a lawyer that embodies the high ethical standards that are part and parcel of the responsibilities of being a part of the profession that we're each about to enter. I'd like to leave you with one final sentiment, and admittedly, this is a very personal sentiment. It's been said that when a person looks back on their life, their greatest honors are those they are able to name without a second thought. And many years from now, looking back, I know when discussing the great honors of my life, that the first words that I will utter will be this: being selected by his law school classmates, by his friends, to speak at their commencement. For I know that this has been the greatest honor of my life. Thank you.